My next guests have been on stage in a whole heap of shows, including Be More Chill, School of Rock, Dogfight, Jersey Boys, Legally Blonde, and Witches of Eastwick. Today, they're here to chat about their latest project, Daddy Longlegs. Welcome to Showtime, Maddy, Connelly, and Jordi Poyser.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. Very excited.
Oh, an absolute pleasure. No, great to have you both. So you've been involved, Maddy, in a heap of local theatre shows. What do you think it is about local community theatre that's so exciting?
I think that the thing that I love about theatre is the community of it all. And so it's literally community theatre. It's in the name. It's right there for you. But the fact that theatre is about telling stories about other people, and you get to share that experience with people and relate to the stories that you're telling and each other. It creates a really beautiful environment. All of my friends that I still have around are all theatre people because we shared that shared experience together and that connection and that vulnerability that you don't really get anywhere else. You have to go quite deep in a room that was once a bunch of strangers that isn't by the time that you're on stage. I think that's really exciting.
And Jordi, from an audience perspective, especially people that might be watching or listening to us now who are used to seeing shows at, the region or the comedy theatre in the city, but aren't really familiar with smaller, more intimate local suburban theatre, what do you think audiences will get out of a show like Daddy Longlegs or an experience, a suburban theatre experience that you just wouldn't get in a big city theatre?
I think the thing that we provide in a much smaller theatre, and especially in a show like Daddy Longlegs, where it is just the two of us, it's so much easier to connect with the two people on stage. And as the two people on stage, we find that an amazing experience to have. I think when you go and see these amazing shows in the city, as brilliant as they are, it's hard. You can feel a little bit of a disconnect between you and the people up on stage. Sometimes you feel like you're watching characters. Sometimes you feel like you're watching actors and everything like that. I think in a much smaller, more intimate space, and even more so, it'll be much more prevalent in a show like Daddy Longlegs. We're hoping that a lot of people who come and see it will be able to see aspects of themselves, and therefore the emotion that they'll get out of the show will be second to none. And we're very, very excited to be able to feel that from the crowd.
And Jordi, a more intimate suburban performance space and a smaller show like Daddy Longlegs where there's just the two of you, how do you think it's helped shape you as a performer?
I think it's been immensely challenging, but in the best possible way. It's I've been very, very fortunate enough to have some great casts around me, some great ensembles and everything like that you can sort of rely on show after show. When you're doing a 6, 8, 10, 12 show run, there are times where you're like, I need some help here. It's a lot more different. And I am very, very fortunate enough to have Maddy by my side. And it's definitely an amazing challenge. But when it's Maddy says a line, I say a line, Maddy says a line, I say a line, it's hard to feel like, I don't know, you're doing a lot, but it's hard to feel like you're doing a lot. You just kind of keep going. It's definitely impacted the way I learn a script, the way I break down a script, everything like that. I think it's given me the knowledge to be able to say, okay, I can do it. Which I didn't have before this show. So I'm very, very excited for this one. This will be good.
And Maddy, how do you think experiences like this and these smaller local community theatre companies help shape the broader Melbourne performing arts landscape?
So here's the thing. When you go into the city to see a show, for the most part, a lot of the time, not always, we're seeing a lot of similar shows that were around only a few years ago. I think one of the most beautiful things about community theatre is that you are giving access to shows that don't otherwise get put on. And the quality of community theatre is actually insane. The quality of the shows that people are putting on, and they're shows that you wouldn't have maybe even heard of. Like the first show that I did was Be More Chill, and I hadn't even heard of that until I auditioned. And then it blew up and it was all very exciting. But a lot of the shows that we do in the community are shows that people want to see but aren't being put on. And hopefully that will mean that the more we can sell tickets to shows like Daddy Longlegs, the more that bigger companies and bigger companies and bigger companies and bigger companies and pro companies will be like, oh, hey, these kind of smaller shows that people feel like there is a demand for it. There are actually people who are going to come and fill these seats, especially with Daddy Longlegs. Like, I never thought I'd be able to see it. I never thought anyone would ever put it on, let alone I would get to audition for it and then be lucky enough to be in it. It's just like incredible creating the accessibility for those shows that you don't get to see otherwise.
Maddy, I want to jump back to something you said earlier, that when you were auditioning for Be More Chill, you didn't know a lot about the show. What is it that just drew you in, that sucked you in to that community theatre experience?
I was out in Williamstown seeing a production of Rent, and I was getting dinner beforehand because my high school senior vocal group coach, teacher, leader was in this production of Rent. And I was eating my little pizza, al fresco style, outside. It was lovely. A boy walked past called Darcy, and I was like, that's Darcy from my vet music class. And Darcy was like, that's Maddy from my vet music class. And we caught up, we were like, oh my gosh, hey, how have you been since that class finished, blah, 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 blah. He said, oh, I've actually started this company. You should come and audition for our show. And I went, oh yeah, maybe I will. And then I did, and I got it. And you can't get me away from theatre since, pretty much.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Jordi, as we discussed before, shows like Daddy Longlegs are not shows that come up that often. For those that aren't familiar with Daddy Longlegs, what's it about? Daddy
Longlegs is a beautiful, beautiful piece and musical. It's based on a novel. It is about an orphan girl named Jerusha Abbott, played by our wonderful Maddy, who, out of the blue, is offered the chance to go to college, all paid for by an anonymous benefactor. And when this anonymous benefactor has put forward the suggestion for her to go to college, all paid for, he sends her a letter that's a 9-point plan. And in that 9-point plan, he says things like, you cannot refer to me as anything other than John Smith, which is not his real name. I will never read your letters. I will never respond to your letters. I will be a terrible person, is basically what he says in this 9-point plan. And little does she know, she dubs him the name Daddy Longlegs because Mr. John Smith is an incredibly boring name. And all Jerusha has seen of this character, of Daddy Longlegs, is his shadow. She's only seen his shadow in the nighttime, in headlights. She knows he's tall and lanky. She assumes because he's rich that he's quite old, so she dubs him the name Daddy Longlegs, and it sticks. Little does she know he's not quite as old as she thinks he is, and that's where I come in. And when he says to her that he will not read her letters, he will completely ignore. He reads every single one, and over time, a bond and a relationship forms that he never saw coming, and that she never saw coming, and things start to unfold from there. But it is quite a beautiful.
And Maddy, it's just the two of you on stage. How have you dealt with that challenge that you don't have a big ensemble supporting casts to fall back on?
I have dealt with that challenge with many a breakdown. I've got my sister, my mum, my best friend Ella, my best friend Kirsten, my best friend Ella's mum, Kim. I've got everybody running lines with me. I'm like, I just need you to just make sure that I know that, okay, great. We've got Leah, our amazing director, who has literally had rehearsals where we've just worked on the script. We've not done any blocking or any movement or anything. We've just worked specifically on the script. But also, I think most importantly, I am on stage the entire time, and I do have a lot of lines and a lot of lyrics, but Jordi is also there. Having another actor on stage, that you can feed from, is super amazing, but also to be like, hey, there's not a lot we can do, but we've got each other's back. It's going to be okay. We're in this together. Everything's going to be okay. Even though when we go over lines and he has a big chunk and I get a little rest, I go, ha, sucked in, it's your turn. We are actually on the same team. Yeah, it's been an incredible challenge. It's been really beautiful. I've learned a lot about myself as a performer, and also about a person, and also about just like trusting myself and trusting Jordi and trusting Leah and trusting Damien, our MD. Yeah, oh my gosh, it's really hard. It's really hard, but it's so worth it. It's so beautiful.
And Jordi, it's it's such a beautiful, sensitive work, and it's got really funny moments. It's got really emotional moments. But there's just the two of you. How do you balance that? And how do you balance that?
Look, it's I'm not going to lie to you, it is tough, especially considering that the way the script is written out and the way the score is written beautifully, we don't see each other. I spend majority of my time reading her letters, her words, so we don't really get to have too many moments where we're actually interacting with each other and being able to bounce off. So we're kind of bouncing off the way that the last line has been delivered. We don't really get a lot of our facial expressions. I can't look over to the side of the stage and see Maddy giving her performance, because that would break what I'm doing, and vice versa for her. So the way we've emphasized certain words, emphasized certain jokes and everything like that is our way in. We've been very, very clear on how we're going to deliver a line. And I can't speak for Maddy, but in my script, I actually have written next to lines, joke. So just so I know, because they all blend together. It's as I said before, it's Maddy's line, then my line, then Maddy's line, then my line. So after the 37th letter to Daddy Longlegs, they all blend together. And it's hard to distinguish which ones are the jokes, which ones are not. But I also think I'm lucky enough to have known Maddy from before the show. We've worked together before, but even from our chemistry read, it's the way we bounce off each other with the dialogue. We've got a vibe. We understand where we're going with the direction. So the jokes and the sensitivity, they all hit naturally, I think. And I think I'm hoping it was good casting on behalf of Leah and the team. Fingers crossed. So yeah, we're starting to get to the point now where books are getting down, we're understanding the deeper meaning of things, and we're having fun. And I think the audience is going to feel that and understand that through it as well.
Maddy, if you could write your own letter to a real life Daddy Longlegs, who would it be and what would you write?
I would write... Great question. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Okay, in this hypothetical, is Daddy Longlegs sending me hypothetically to Colin?
It's your hypothetical.
It's my hypothetical. I can do what I want. Amazing.
It's your sequel. Write it how you want.
In my hypothetical, I'm sending a letter to Daddy Longlegs, and Daddy Longlegs is... Oh my gosh. This is a great and possible question. I think I would say Daddy Longlegs would be some kind of politician or person in power. That's the kind of power that Daddy Longlegs has over Jerusha's life. And that's the kind of power that politicians have over our lives, making, laws and blah, 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 blah. And so it would probably be to a politician, and it would probably just be a letter saying, hey man, you do what you want, but I just want to remind you that we're all real people. So just be patient and make decisions with a bit of grace. Just try to get some humanity in there and lead from there. Jerusha says, one of my lines is that I think children should do nothing from duty and everything from love. It sounds so simple, but doing things from love is what makes us people and what makes us human beings. And I think that doing things from love gets lost the older that you get. I think that's also why I like theatre. It's because doing things in theatre is doing things from love. I think that I would probably urge somebody in power to make decisions and to do things from love, not from duty.
And Jordi, what do you think this musical, Daddy Longlegs, teaches us as an audience about love and independence and finding your own voice?
I think the be-all and end-all of the Daddy Longlegs story is it teaches you it's okay to make mistakes, and not everyone knows what they're doing. And even if you have the absolute best intentions and you still make a mistake, it's okay. You're going to have people around you. There are many, many times throughout this story where my character of Jervis makes quite a few mistakes, and you know, he immediately regrets it, but it all turns out the way it's meant to be. And I think, linking back to what we said before, there are many, many aspects of both characters and story plot lines where I think the audience will see themselves. There are quite a few moments where we're putting up a mirror, and I think people are going to be open to it. I think people are going to be open to the idea of no one's perfect. And especially because the whole thing is through letters, it's all written down. We can all sound great on a page. And then the moment you step away from that page, you could be a very, very different person. You could have a very different reaction. You know, if I were to text somebody saying, "Hi, what are you up to today?" There are 30 different ways someone can read that. So it's very interesting to see the dynamic between how you put something out into the world and how you receive it. And I think that's shown through the letters. And I think people are going to understand that. There's going to be a natural connection between the audience and the characters where they will have moments where they'll be like, I've done that. Like, I've done that. And I remember thinking in that moment, is this a mistake? Is it not? And the thing is, you don't know. You don't know until you do it. And you will always turn out okay in the end. And I think that's what people are going to get from this.
Daddy Longlegs is playing in Mornington at the Mornington Mount Martha Anglican Church from the 8th to the 16th of November. For tickets and more info, go to peoplesplayhouse.com. Maddy, Jordi, thank you so much for sharing those thoughts with us today. And all the very best for the season.
Thank you so much for having us. We're super, super excited. Hope everybody comes down. We're so stoked.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. We can't wait to see as many familiar faces and unfamiliar faces as we can in the audience. It'll be wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.